Hello. Hi. I meant to make this video several days ago, and then I just fell into a hole of binging the entirety of Boys Planet. I did the whole show in about, I want to say 5 days, maybe less. It could have been four. And each episode is 2 to 3 hours long. I consumed so much TV. So, anyways, that's where my brain was. But I don't know. I just want to talk about the direct. This is a more casual format because I'm just like, are we bored? Are we over it? Like, is the era of announcements being fun and exciting over? I just feel like there's no flair, and I keep getting my hopes up in these presentations, and I feel like every direct that they've had this year so far has been kind of a snooze. And it's not even that I don't care about the games that they're presenting. I do. I just feel like this could have been an email. Like, why am I sitting through a 40-minute presentation? I don't know. I feel like we're not getting a lot of announcements. I feel like we're getting a lot of the same. Like, it's a lot of update trailers on games that we already know exist. And, like, we are so living in the era of the remake, which in and of itself is not bad because with projects like Final Fantasy VII Remake, like, that's totally transformative, rebuilding the experience from the ground up and expanding on what they did originally, and they're probably going to take that narrative in a slightly different direction, but it works because it contrasts something that already exists. So I think like that style of remake has value. I think of like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire where they add a chapter at the end of the game and now it's in full 3D. We are getting a lot of Wii U ports. It's obviously slowed down quite a bit, but I still think there's potential for them to like add more to the Switch from the Wii U kind of era. I'm thinking like Xenoblade Chronicles X, but I understand that the Wii U wasn't a successful console, so they want to port a lot of games that already exist onto the Switch just so that they have a new life and that people actually play them. Like, I think there's a lot of good with remakes, but I was a little annoyed at Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door being the final reveal and getting that last slot. Usually at the end of directs, we get a big announcement or we get a more epic kind of trailer. Like, I feel like in the last direct, it was probably a Tears of the Kingdom trailer. I don't remember exactly, but it's usually like a bigger IP, a Nintendo mainline franchise that gets that last spot. And it's either usually a new announcement or a big trailer for something that's already been teased. Like, this could have been a Metroid Prime 4 moment. This could have been a Fire Emblem moment. I would really love it if they would just reopen the vault and start revitalizing old IP. We've been getting a lot of Mario and Pokemon, and I love both, but I just think it's too much. We'll take a detour. We'll talk about the Pokemon Direct a little bit here. Pokemon, I get it. It's the biggest multimedia franchise in the world. There's a lot of gears turning, and a lot of it is dependent on the main games in order to serve as a springboard and a launching off point for the anime and for the card game and for the manga if and when they are releasing new volumes of that. There's just so much Pokemon happening that's outsourced to different companies and different people are responsible for. I thought the Pokemon Direct was okay, but the Pokemon Direct was the first of these presentations ever where I've been like, wow, these are just a big commercial. And I thought the Pokemon Direct was good, but I was like, okay, they're really selling something to me. And that's how this feels. Because in that Direct, they covered VGC happening in Japan, and they were kind of selling it as a tourist attraction. Not totally, but a little bit. Maybe it's just that I would want to go. Maybe that's why I feel that way. And then it's like the third trailer for Detective Pikachu. And Pokemon Cafe Remix, or whatever that game is called, is getting the millionth new thing, even though I feel like in our collective consciousness, we forget that that game exists. And then there was a Pokemon Masters announcement, and then there's Pokemon Go stuff. During the Pokemon Go trailer, I thought that they were dropping a line of shoes. And for me, that was the most exciting part of the trailer. Like, I would buy those loafers, especially because you can't tell that it's Pokemon merch. That's my favorite thing. I don't like things that are too obvious. Don't look at my sweater. I generally do. This hoodie's really cute, so it doesn't count. I do think the DLC for Scarlet and Violet looks good. I didn't play the Sword and Shield DLC. I meant to, but I just never ended up getting around to it, and then I thought the legendaries looked stupid. I don't like the new Pokemon in the Teal Mask and Indigo Disc, but I think the characters looked really cool, and it's exciting that they're introducing new Pokemon into the game that don't exist already. I might check it out. TBD, asterisk. If I have the time and I'm interested in spending the money on that, I might just. who's to say? So anyways, we're really saturated with Pokemon, which, like, it's never going to change. So I think part of my frustration with the recent Direct is that they just took a lot of the trailers from the Pokemon Direct and just plopped them here just in case you missed it. But I feel like if you're a Nintendo girly, you're not skipping the Pokemon Direct. There is so much Mario happening, and I'm a little annoyed by it. Like, how many old games can they repackage for us? I'm thinking of the Thousand Year Door and the fact that they're redoing Luigi's Mansion 2. I'm just thinking, like, how many times can they take old media and then put it on a current console? I think my concern with the state of remakes is that in 10 years, are we going to be buying Luigi's Mansion 2 again? Are we going to be buying Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door again? Because they can sell it to us and people will buy it. Like, I think there's still value in introducing these older games to new audiences because now they become accessible again in a way that's legal. I just don't love the idea that they can keep reselling the same product over and over again. I feel like that'll start to become a sustainable way for companies to make money without having to put in a lot of work. Like, they should be releasing a GameCube emulator as a part of the Nintendo Switch Online package, or they need to bring the Virtual Console back because that was such a cool feature. But they need to be putting that on Switch. And I think people should be able to digitally license these games for like $5. It's outrageous. The fact that Tales of Symphonia got a remake and it costs like $50 to $60 is wild because they didn't even try. Like, the game looks the same. And the fact that you can get it on Steam for practically nothing by comparison is outrageous. I kind of feel like a hypocrite because on the one hand, I'm kind of roasting Luigi's Mansion 2 and the Thousand Year Door, but also my most anticipated game is going to be the Genealogy of the Holy War remake. But I feel like that's not the same because they're going to remake Genealogy from the ground up. Maybe I'm a part of the problem too, and I'm just being picky based on my tastes. But I am concerned, like, unless the Switch, unless the PS5, unless the Xbox Series X, unless this generation of console gaming is the definitive one, where does that leave us? Like, I don't want all my stuff to lose value. Or servers are going to go offline for the Switch probably someday, just like they did for the 3DS and just like they did for the PS3. Like, we're going to lose all that content. Or there's a deadline for when you can buy it. And then if you miss that deadline, it's going to cost you $8,000 on eBay just to get a copy of Path of Radiance. I guess the takeaway is that I have mixed feelings and that I'm uninterested in a remake unless it transforms the work. So we got Luigi's Mansion 2, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, Super Mario RPG, another remake, and then there's the new Mario vs. Donkey Kong, which is like probably exciting for the people who want it, Super Mario Wonder, and then there's the new Peach game, which I actually am excited for. I do want the Peach game. I was hoping for a Super Princess Peach 2. I've been wanting that game for a long time. I don't know. I'm excited for the new Peach game. I feel like it's Luigi's Mansion meets Kirby meets Bayonetta in a way. So anyways, we have all this Pokemon. We have all this Mario. And then they tease us just a little bit with an F-Zero announcement. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I'm not a big racing game fan. I'm not a big F-Zero person. But Captain Falcon is a juggernaut in the industry because of Smash Bros. Like, he's the reason that F-Zero remains in the cultural consciousness because he was included in the first game. But where's F-Zero? It's so interesting to me that Nintendo can make the same Mario and the same Pokemon year after year after year. But F-Zero, gone. Metroid Prime 4, in the trenches. Star Fox, found dead. Kid Icarus, it is actually a crime that they made Kid Icarus Uprising, and that game was so good, and that franchise is just gone forever. We need a new Kid Icarus for the Switch. Sorry, with all that being said, it's annoying to me that they announced F-Zero 99. Like, on the one hand, I think it's cool that they introduced a sort of battle royale game. Like, I can't say that F-Zero 99 doesn't look good. I think it's a really interesting idea. Maybe it's like the Drag Race strategy, where they bring back someone into the franchise to do like a little guest thing as a tester to see if the audience appreciates them, and then they invite them back for an All-Stars or whatever. Maybe it's that. Maybe if F-Zero 99 does well, then they'll know if F-Zero has an audience for a new game in this century. I don't own Splatoon 3, but the trailer that they showed in this Direct looked really good. Splatoon has always been really cool. I'm just not a big shooter person. And that was one of the most exciting parts of the Direct, at least for a main Nintendo IP. I feel kind of silly because I don't actually remember the names of the two games that I thought were really cool from the Direct. Princess Peach Showtime. Ugh, that's what that game is called. I really want it. Like, if it comes in a special edition, that might be something to add to the bookshelf. Prince of Persia. Does anybody remember how they were supposed to release Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time? Like, they were going to do a re-release for that. Did that ever happen? Because I remember it got delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed for forever until it was in development hell. And I remember, this is a little inside baseball. I worked at a certain Canadian video game retailer that I'm not going to name. I just remember going to my job and I had some people who were very annoyed that the game was delayed indefinitely, as if it was my fault. Okay, Trombone Champ actually looked amazing. I thought it was going to be the next Wii Music iteration, but this game looks so funny. Oh, it came out exclusively on PC, so it already exists. Oh, I thought this was developed for the Switch. Because it's very Switch coded. Like, it's very Wii Music, Miitopia, Unicorn Overlord. That was the one that looked really good. Oh, and it is. Oh, I thought the art style looked really similar to 13 Sentinels, and I was like, maybe not. I thought it was a different developer, but it is from the same people. That makes a lot of sense, because I was like, this art is beautiful, and it's very expressive. 13 Sentinels is a good game. I should replay it and talk about it. So Unicorn Overlord, first of all, rough name, but the game looks so good. And then Ayuden Chronicles, 100 Heroes. That seems crazy. It was supposed to launch in October 2020. Oh. Both of these games are coming out 2024. These are the ones that I'm excited for. And they're coming out 2 months apart from each other, so I can play one and then get to the other. And then the Nintendo Museum. They're really trying to get me to go to Japan. Is this a stupid video? Is this a dumb point of discussion? Am I the only one who's feeling a little whelmed? Because I think on the one hand, it's nice to get like a variety platter of new games that are coming out, and it elevates games that you maybe never would have heard of, like Unicorn Chronicles, Unicorn Overlord. I already forgot what that game was called. I probably wouldn't have known that that game exists. And now it's something that I'm excited for. So in a big presentation like this, there's always the opportunity to find hidden gems that you maybe weren't expecting. I think I'm just missing that kind of sense of epicness, of grandiosity. I just think it's so underwhelming. And maybe the death of E3 and like a lot of these conventions is playing a part in it, because now developers can announce things whenever they want, and there's less of a timeline to have a bunch of really cool announcements in June because you're not making a big showcase at a convention. I look to these presentations to drum up excitement and to have something to look forward to. But I just feel like every time they're not giving me things that I care about, because I want these franchises to come back, or I want these projects that we already know that they're working on to actually be announced, or to show that at least some progress is being made. I feel like as fans we're getting dust for dessert. I think that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. Are there any games from the Direct that you're looking forward to? Are there any games that were announced in a Direct earlier this year that have come out that were absolute flops or that were absolute gems? What have you been playing recently? I actually haven't been playing very much. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of Boys Planet, and then before that, what's the last game I played? Oh, Raincode. That video will be in a card somewhere here. Okay, logging off. Goodbye.